Alright, immediately off the bat you'll notice that, well, we've got one more little health bar now. I'll show you why. That house that I bitched about, you know, not having any purpose in the game, actually does have a purpose. You have to walk up to this wall, this nondescript wall, and run into it. And suddenly you'll get another bar of health, which is crazy. Supposedly there's another one, but as far as the game facts thing that I read about, it said it was near the Addams family mansion. But in this game there's like no actual mansion per se. It's just a bunch of goofy looking, slightly different colored houses. And none of them are really descriptive enough to claim to be the Addams family mansion, so I don't tend to believe that it exists. So foo on you, oh game facts bullcrap. I'm sure nobody actually played the game to figure that one out. They just said, oh hey, yep, I guess there's another one. Then again, maybe there is. I'm not really going to research that far because it's Fester's Quest, people. It's not worth playing more than once. Ever. But, for the sake of the internet, I actually went back. I went back and played again to get that health. To get that health bar just for you people. So, you know, when push comes to shove, Vampilion steps up and gets things done. Of course, I, you know, subjected myself to playing this game, which isn't all that great, but, you know, hey, maybe one of these days I'll get around to, you know, actually playing a better game, which actually is entertaining and fun for the whole family. Alright, so anyway, we're playing Fester's Quest again, or I did play Fester's Quest at one point, and got the game beaten. And you'll notice I finally got the last whip upgrade too, which makes this flaming whip thing from Castlevania 2, which is pretty cool, except for the fact that it's still the whip and it has terrible range. It does do some damage. The terrible part about it, however, is that, and I don't know if I showed it off in any previous videos, the whip, once you kill enemies, will actually retrieve items back to you. So there's like a 50-50 chance that anytime you kill some guy, the downgrade that he drops will automatically get picked up by the whip. So you'll constantly get downgraded. Alright, so the first boss in this video is probably the worst boss of this whole video. This guy is an annoying pain in the ass, and for the simple fact that you can only hit him in the head, you can't shoot him directly. His pattern is really easy. I mean, it's not too difficult, and if you've got missiles sitting around, you didn't use any of them, you can pretty much just do this, kind of just walk through his pattern, fire missiles, and hit him in the head. And you'll notice that like maybe only 1 or 2 out of all 6 shots actually end up hitting him and doing damage. Again, the white metallic clinking sounds means he's immune, whereas the red actually means he's taking damage. There's supposedly some way you can get him to move all the way over to one side and then run over and shoot him in the head, but good lord, you don't want to be sitting here all day doing this. The other awesome strategy, which you'll see as soon as I actually run out of missiles, because yes, there's a good chance that you'll run out of missiles while trying this technique, and if you do, you'll have to resort to another technique, which in my opinion is actually a lot easier, but it's one of those things that if you don't have the materials in question up to this point, you might be in a bit of trouble. So yes, wash, rinse, repeat, fire missiles, dodge this really easy to move through pattern, and eventually you will defeat the jumping shield monster. I don't know how many missiles I've actually got at this point, but you'll soon find, and yep, there we go. Yes, the strategy number 2 is to go invisible and put your gun right up into his face. And this is the only way that I know how to beat this guy without just going crazy, mad, insane. Because, really, even if there was a strategy that involved you running from one side of the screen to the other and shooting the guy in the head, you wouldn't want to do it. You move too slow. It's just not worth even bothering with. So just do it this way, because, as you'll notice, all our items are back. That's right, and I don't know if I showed this off in the previous videos either. All your consumed items return after you beat a boss. So the invisible potion strategy is actually quite viable. I mean, it's something you will practically do on several different fights at this point in the game, once you have the invisibility potions. Which is kind of sad. I mean, the game is basically telling you that you're going to have to cheese to beat bosses from this point on. Fun stuff. So you'll notice again we got another clue, which keeps spelling out what we already all know, that I guess Gomez, which again, I guess the video or the game itself doesn't actually tell you at any point in time that Gomez is supposed to be in the UFO, but Gomez is in the UFO. We needed clues to figure that one out, because, you know, we didn't totally witness this at the beginning of the game in the opening cinematic. But, yeah. I guess Fester isn't the brightest of the Addams clan, I guess. So the enemies here are still just as stupid as other. Just in case you haven't been paying attention, and I wouldn't blame you. The frogs kind of have 4 different colors, and each color has a specific strategy to them. The reddish ones only take 1 shot, and they are constantly running away from you unless you aren't paying attention to them, looking in the direction. The blue ones are no, it is blue. Blue's the next one. They take 1 shot as well, but they actually are trying to jump towards you. The green ones take a few more hits, and they also hop towards you, but they only can shoot you. They can hit you with their tongues, or they try to hit you with their tongues. And the purple ones are the most difficult, and they will try to shoot fireballs at you, which spread out in sort of a 3-way shot, like a lot of bosses fire. I don't think the fireballs actually do damage to you though, so I think it just slows you down. Anyway, those purple Pac-Man, or the pink Pac-Man looking things, they are really easy to get. They kind of look like they're a pain. They're really easy to flee from, because all you have to do is get around a corner enough to where they touch a wall and they'll automatically disappear. Oh yeah, I have a bad habit about just kind of charging forward into the downgrade items all the time. Fortunately, it's for the whip, so it's not something I'm really planning on worrying about too much. Now, at the beginning of the game, there were a lot of different little areas that had sort of pathways that led off in dead ends. Throughout the middle of the game, they were actually pretty good about not really, keeping that in the game. Everything was pretty straightforward. This part here, however, once again, things start to go a little off. There's a few different little branching pathways. This area entirely down here in the right corner that I just wandered into for some reason is actually a dead end, which doesn't get you anything. Now, I kind of wish they had put some items, but some sort of, actual incentive to explore the game. And outside of the health squares, which you wouldn't have had any clue where those were at. I mean, just by wandering into walls, I guess you might stumble into one, but there's no indication of any such thing happening in this game. I just, happened to have noticed that my health was the same 2 bars that I'd started out with, and, just looked it up one day and said, hey, there's got to be some other health squares in this game, and sure enough there is. They just aren't actually marked whatsoever, and you're supposed to stumble blindly into them. But, you know, as I said in previous videos, this game is not very good, and not very well designed. So, they didn't really have a lot to bank on as far as the Blaster Master engine. They just kind of stapled it into place and threw a layer of paint on it and said, that's good enough. Who cares? And again, these mazes wouldn't be so bad if there wasn't just a little bit of decoration, something that like would actually kind of point you in the right direction or give you some incentive to explore. But again, nothing. So here's the next boss in the line of bosses, and this guy is essentially pretty much the easiest boss you can fight in the game. I mean, other than the fact it's going to take a lot of shots. All you have to do is kind of move to the right or left to avoid the fireball, and then just keep moving just enough to avoid the shot that comes right after it. That's all this boss is. Now, I do kind of stumble here and there and still get hit because, well, let's face facts. Yeah, my health is still bad, and this game is not very good either. So, it's kind of a combination of the two things. And, you know, I'm still wearing out some of the rust that was kind of cobwebs in the brain. You know, it's kind of hard to get back in the mode of, you know, feeling terrible every day, and then kind of turning this on and saying, well, I'm going to get through this, and then actually starting to play Fester's Quest and realizing that, oh, it's this game still, and it hasn't improved any while I was, you know, sick in bed. So, what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to play and get hit a bunch by the easiest pattern, perhaps, in the game. Again, it doesn't take any real strategy. It's just moving to the left or right, firing a bunch in between, and hoping that the boss dies eventually, which he will. And again, since all your items refill, make sure that when you're on a boss fight that you do not hesitate to use items. There's no reason to hold on to them. I mean, you're gonna get them back. If you've got to use an invisibility potion or a health potion, go nuts. Okay, we should be heading towards the final portion of the game. Well, I'll say the final portion. The last area is actually very huge, and it actually will take up probably the rest of the video. Yeah, right over here, in fact, is the... I don't understand exactly how, but the graveyard here is actually some kind of portal to an alien ship. There's nothing to indicate why this would happen in the game, other than the fact then that, you know, up to this point, things haven't been all that great. It's not really like you can expect much from Fester's Quest, and, well, you're gonna have to live with it if you want to beat the game. So, grin and bear it, move on, shoot stuff. If anybody wants to complain about the turbo controller stuff, please try playing the game without one, because you'll soon realize that this is not going to happen. I mean, you literally will either break your thumb or quit playing the game, because you really can't play this game without a turbo function of some sort. You just don't do enough damage with any weapons unless you're spamming the turbo button and being stupid and standing right in the line of fire. And hey, I get to show off the nooses that we got. Yes, essentially this screen flashes up, plays a sound, and you are filled in on the fact that creatures are going to die. The nooses don't do anything against bosses, so you're pretty much going to use them on the way to the boss. And you're really going to want to save them for this particular screen here, because there's a lot of enemies that just take forever to kill, like this guy here. Just will not die, and occasionally they'll just spawn up from areas where they were cleared just a moment before. So they are a good, you know, oh shit button for whenever you need to clear shots or clear creatures off the screen that you know are going to hit you. You want to save all the potions you can for the last fight, and this area is very long, very, you know, drawn out, very maze-like, and it's going to probably deal you a decent amount of damage before you even get to the boss. So don't be afraid to use the nooses. And I kept telling myself that when I was playing this in particular playthrough, and actually the test plays, you know, I had no problems hitting the nooses whenever I needed to. Then when I go to record, of course, I completely forget about it. Most of the enemies, well, these enemies here are real easy once you actually get your focus on them. They won't do anything else but sit here and take damage and then die. The only ones you really need to worry about are the purple thing, or the pink things with the little spinny orbs around them, and the kind of looks like this evil, angry vagina with arms. I swear that these guys are like total rip-offs of actual Master Blaster bosses, but or Blaster Master. Maybe I need to go back and play the game, but I keep thinking that these guys look exactly like bosses from the game. And again, I might just be imagining things or blaming the game for being, you know, a terrible Blaster Master knockoff. But well, eventually I just gave up on. I don't know what it is. I kept thinking that those guys would go down a lot easier. They did when I, you know, did the playthrough in preparation for this. And for some reason, these guys just kept getting closer and closer to me, and I was, you know, kept getting worried about me taking extra damage. So eventually, I just eventually I remembered. Oh yeah, nooses. Thanks. Thanks, Mama, for giving me nooses. Because I need them. You need them. You'll have a lot of these points in time where you have one guy right in front of you and be like, all right, well this is manageable, and then, you know, take a step back and another guy will spawn, and you're like, all right, gotta do it. Or it's just one of those things to save you a hit or two, which is always important at this point in the game. Some ninja skills there, dodging some shots. Good job, Fester, because, you know, you move like a tank. You almost got hit, but hey, keep up the good work. And let's see, we are maybe about halfway towards the boss, I think, at this point. Like I said, it is a very long level. This is pretty much as long, and then incompetence, of course, will shine through here. But yeah, this level is about as long as, you know, maybe 2 or 3 of the previous maps you've been in, or, you know, the overworld areas, I guess. So it is very long. At this point, this big open area, there are several different pathways that will lead off to, well, dead ends. So you have to take this bottom left one down here if you want to, you know, achieve any progress, which we do. We want to complete Fester's quest and be done with it. Still kind of thinking on what I want to do. I mean, I still have a lot of medical tests that I need to run through. Just finally got my MRI. I don't know the results of that yet, and I don't really know if anybody cares enough for me to, you know, mention them. So for now, not really gonna worry about that too much. Kind of thinking, like I said, I want to try maybe this guy. Here's the vagina with arms, and we'll send Lurch to go deal with it, because that seems to be his kind of thing. I was thinking about doing Barkley's Shut Up and Jam Gaiden. It just seems one of those quirky games that could use a good playthrough. Other than that, I'm not sure exactly. I mean, there's about a bajillion other playthroughs out there of, you know, Mario games, Sonic games, and RPGs. And as much as I, you know, would like to play them, I really don't think I want to record them for the interwebs, because it doesn't seem like a lot of people are going to care about watching old video games that they've probably seen before, or probably don't give a rat's ass about. Which is fine, that saves me time. I don't have to deal with them. I don't have to play these clunky shooter games that a handful of people remember and nobody wants to play. Outside of Barkley's Shut Up and Jam, I might look into some GBA games. I still have the Minecraft going, and I've been working on my castle still. At some point, the actual videos will probably stop being uploaded. I mean, I'll continue to play it, but once I get some projects in, unless I start getting a ton of views and a ton of subscribers, and you know, the input is really what I kind of need to keep that going. Without somebody, you know, or without some good, you know, group, you know, chatter on, you know, what I should do next, or you know, what sounds cool, or you know, what kind of things I should put into my, you know, my Minecraft play schedule, what I should do with it. I mean, it's gonna be at the point where I'm gonna have everything done that I want to get done, and then it'll just kind of be, you know, well, you know, I'll play it myself. I don't really know that anybody wants to really watch anymore, so I will kind of mess around with some things. Here we come to the boss, the final boss of the game. The strategy is simple. You're going to equip the whip, and you're going to suck down those invisibility potions and just whip constantly. This is pretty much the only strategy, well, I won't say the only strategy that works, but the only one that makes you not want to shoot yourself. Otherwise, you have to run in a giant circle, dodging the lasers, because the lasers not only will shoot like directionally at you, but they have like a blast radius after they hit that will still hit you. You have to basically run around it in a circle, run around, come back up, hit them, and then hit them once and run around again. So instead of taking 2 hours to beat this boss, I go it the easy way, which is invisibility potions, and then standing here against this side where this guy's laser beams will actually just go right out the side of the screen, and you'll never have to deal with them. So, yep, that's the last boss. Actually has a blind spot that you cannot be hit in, and this is pretty much the only way, without, you know, ripping your hair out, that you'll beat this game. And I mean, I honestly can't see anybody sitting down and playing this game without, you know, save states, without some sort of fast forward key, being able to like just sit down and play this after if they, you know, die. You have to run all the way back without any way to pick up the progress you've made. You just kind of hey, look at that, we blew up the spaceship that we were on, and now there's a raucous party where everybody grows an arm and throws it into the air. I think that's the same I think everybody has the same exact arm sprite, except for maybe those guys up top there. They have their hand, their palm out, and then everybody on the bottom has their palm upwards. So, awesome. It's like a really bad, you know, rave party where the Addams family is invited, and Gomez has some kind of small afro thing going on. Oh. Yep. That was it. That was the extent of our wonderful credits. We got a song and confirmation that this game was made by Sunsoft. Wonderful. So, till next game. Have a good one.